think that we should get into is the recent success of European players in the NBA, which we've seen in the past couple of years with players like Giannis, players like the Joker, players like Embiid. The list goes on. Um, and so I wanted to hear what you think about that, and why do you think that these European players have been so successful compared to, I guess, the other American superstars?
So it's a good thing that you brought up that question, because the question that actually popped into my mind was, are we headed towards European basketball? That's what my mind went to, because it's evident that whichever style of basketball wins the most championships, let's be frank here, is the way that basketball heads towards. So, perfect example of this is the Golden State Warriors. When they started their 3-point revolution, the league now, as you can see, has adopted that and moved on with that. So, with the recent success of all the European players, the question that I had in my mind was, do you think that the league is headed towards European basketball in general, like a more team style basketball with, we just went through the era of super teams, right? So is the next era of European basketball where teams are looking for the next Luka, the next Jokic, the next Giannis, right? Whatever,
Mm,
like just a floor distributor who is also a
hmm.
multifaceted scorer.
Well, what I see is more so than the style of gameplay, it's the training and the fundamentals that these European players instill when they come to the league. So it's interesting. I mean, the way the game is played, it all ultimately depends on the rules that the NBA sets out. They're the ones that decide, okay, we want, step backs and, foul baiting to go away. So we're going to instill rules to make that go away.
Mm.
But in regards to what you said about European players coming in and, playing their style of basketball, yes, it's definitely effective, but I think it's more of an underlying root cause of that. They don't care about, being flashy. They focus on the fundamentals. They get in. So these European players, they start playing with, grown men much sooner. So, out of the gate, 16, 17, they're already playing at the professional level. And another thing that, if you look at training videos of Luca training with like American players, they'll be doing the drill with like the basketball dribbling and then throwing the tennis ball. And
Yeah.
he's struggling to do that drill.
Yeah.
Like it's actually hilarious. He can't do
I
it at
saw
all.
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I actually saw that. Yeah, where everyone's going up against the wall, and then Luca can't actually do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and this
yeah.
is the guy that's dropping 40 a night, like
Mm.
he casually on playoff games. So it makes you wonder, is this American, training effective in basketball? There's something to be said about European excellence in that they focus on the fundamentals, like how old other players did in the past. Tim Duncan comes to mind. Larry Bird, like these type of players, they focus on one thing, they get good at it, and then they move on.
Mm.
I mean, but here's the thing: the American basketball is still dominant in terms of international recognition. They still have the best players in the league. So, to your point about, is European basketball coming to the US? Are we completely switching play styles? I don't think so, because the NBA is at the end of the day a business, and what makes that business money is going to be flashy, over the top plays. So, of course, winning championships is important, but you can still win championships while also selling jerseys, while also selling merch, all of that stuff. So I don't think it's a big threat. I think obviously we saw Joker win, but it wasn't like it was just him on the court. He
No.
was the main
Mm-mm.
facilitator
Mm-mm.
for sure, but he had players like Jamal Murray who saved him in a couple games. I'm going to be honest. Aaron Gordon, who's another fantastic player that I think is underrated. MPJ, uh, what's his name? KCP, Mike, what's Mike Brown or something like that. And so all these other players, right? They're all American players. So the league is still very heavily invested in American players. European players are starting to make their way in, but I think it's also a recency bias in that only the best of the best European players are making it to the NBA. We're not seeing the mid-tier or low-tier European players come here. So it could be that we're just filtering out all the other talent to get the top 0.01%, and that's giving the impression that European basketball is fundamentally better than American basketball. I think we need more data and more research to be conducted in this regard.
Mm. So you're essentially saying like marketability will always be like a factor, which I agree with. Like marketability is always a factor. That's why, like, like the Currys exist, the LeBrons exist, the Kevin Durant's exist for that reason. Um, are you saying that because European players are a little bit harder to market, or is it more so like they're not as flashy? Because I do agree that they're not as flashy, but like I
Mm-hmm.
still think an average fan can still appreciate that, like their game, right? Like I love watching
Mm-hmm.
Luca, for example, right? Like I'll watch Luca versus any team, to be honest. Dallas is one of the premier teams that like I love watching. um
Right.
the Nuggets not so much. Like, let me just be frank and honest here, right? I watched the Nuggets. I watched parts of their playoff run up until, the Western Conference Finals and the final series. I watched those two. But yeah, before
Mm-hmm.
that, it's not like I was a huge Nuggets fan, always keeping up with Jokic news and stuff like that. And even like with
Okay.
news, it's like there's not a lot of news to be reported from Denver, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, they had their nice playoff run, and um, so on and so forth, right? There's not a lot of drama going on or trade talks going on. It's just a very stable environment, which is great
Uh-huh.
for winning, right? I believe like we had the same phenomena with like Phoenix, like last since 2020, right? There wasn't a lot of drama going on and stuff until KD got there, right? Obviously, but yeah, there wasn't a lot of drama going on, and like, they were solid, they were stable. Obviously, they didn't win the championship, but like, there's uh, the only reason I posed that question about do you think it's headed towards European basketball style was because it just seems like having no drama and just being and having a stable day-to-day operation just leads to winning, in my opinion, or like that's
Listen,
that's what
man.
I've observed.
Listen,
Yeah, yeah,
I'll tell you what it is right now.
yeah.
The average NBA fan is like a Toronto shorty. Okay, they don't want
Mm.
no stability. They don't want no nice guy, who's gonna score his 10 points every night. They want the emotional ups and downs. Give me the 40 points a night, but then if you fuck up for 2, 3 games, that's
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah,
I like the emotional ups and downs. I like it when
exactly.
there's drama. Okay,
Mhm.
that's what I need. I don't need no stability.
Yeah,
That's an NBA fan for you
that's what
right
I
there.
mean.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
Luca, KD, these type of players, the reason they're marketable is because sometimes they get a little cheese. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's what we like. The reason that no one's watching the Nuggets is because there's no drama on the Nuggets. Everyone is a cohesive team. So
I agree with
that's
that. I agree with that to a certain extent. I do. Yeah, like, it's fun. It's fun. Like part of the reason why I follow the Lakers is because like Anthony Davis can look
yeah,
like Prime Bull Chamberlain one game, and the next game I'm like, AD, what happened?
exactly, exactly. That's what I'm
Yeah,
trying to tell you, fam.
exactly. All
Yeah,
right, but still, I think that with the way it's going, it's the European style is definitely more valued now. In which case, I do agree with like the way it's heading, because obviously Wemby is from France. We're gonna see more and more prospects come from that part of the world. That's just also natural expansion of the game. Like it's way more
yeah.
global now. So
Hmm.
with it being way more global, we're gonna get more and more players who come from different regions who are able
Yeah.
to dominate. But speaking on that, right? Like, let's take Wemby for example. Like, I wanted to talk about this because it also sort of falls under this umbrella. Um, because like I don't know if you watched like games of him play, right? But some of the stuff he's doing in that game, or like in his league, I feel like like that's not sliding in the NBA. I feel like people are not letting that slide in the league. Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah.
Because there was a possession where off the inbounds he like dribbled through three people, got to the 3 point line, shot a one-legged three. I'm like, yeah, I don't think like the like defenders in the league are gonna let that happen.
Let's see him try to do that on a Giannis or a Draymond. Let's see how that
Mm.
goes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's playing against these soft players. I'm telling you, once he gets to the league, he's gonna have a wake up call.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to get in the weight room, which I know he is.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, these are grown men. He's gonna be playing against, and they're not just gonna let him, walk by. They're gonna foul him. They're gonna make his life hard, and he's just gonna have to adjust. He's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be like another Chet Holmgren situation. So we still have a lot to see from him. But
Well, Chet's one was
yeah,
more of a freak injury. It was sort of like the shift of the leg injury.
right.
So to which I can understand. I don't know if it was necessarily because of he wasn't enough in shape or strong enough. It was just like a weird leg placement injury. It was a pro am injury with LeBron driving
Mm,
and him trying to stop it. Which I like.
there
May I
you go.
add, is not a
There you
very
go.
it's not a very wise thing to do, right? 6'9", 260 coming at you full steam, and you decide, all right, I'm gonna foul him, right? Like,
This is what I'm talking about.
yeah, yeah.
It
So,
might have been a freak injury, but
mm,
it comes from accumulation of little things,
mm,
from playing at a different pace, much faster pace, playing at much more rough. Everyone in the NBA is much more athletic than in any other league, which is what separates the NBA from any other league. It's the fact that everyone can dunk, can drive, can run really fast, and
mm,
that's like one of the main things that when European players come to, they struggle with that. Look at Luka; he struggled with it. Giannis struggled with it early in his career. Obviously, now he's a beast.
mm,
But again, it's like the same thing. Athleticism is still one of the most important things. And so, like you said about Wembanyama, him getting around three players, that's impressive. Well, what is he like 7 feet tall, something
he's
like that? Something
7'5".
crazy. He's 7'5", right?
Mm.
Yeah, I think he's gonna have a if he can adopt like a KD play style, he'll be okay. But we still
So
have a lot to see from him.
so there's like two things with Wembanyama that at least like I'm thinking about going into next season, which is the first one is like, and Draymond actually said this. So on Paul George's podcast, the podcast P, that's a great podcast by the way. Like if y'all are just looking for solid just basketball podcasts where players are being themselves, I think Paul George's podcast is one of the best ones right now. So
Yeah,
mhm,
after you finish this episode, go check out that, but finish
yeah,
this
yeah.
first.
But yeah, for sure. Yeah. So Draymond mentioned that it's not so much about skill because obviously they're the best skilled players in the world. It's more about who is stronger, so who has built more strength, which you build in the weight room, right? And the second thing is who's more lower to the ground, right?
Yeah.
So, and as you know, like if you've played any level of basketball, even just casually with friends, low man wins, right? The lower the
Yep.
person is to the ground, they usually win that battle, right? So that's my point. Like him being 7'5", trying to get like low to the ground as possible. Is that really is being 7'5" really helping him in that scenario versus being 7'1" or 7 feet, which is KD's
Hmm.
height, right? Because like we know KD can stay low, right? Crossover, get to his mid range, get to the three, can pull up, right? So, but I do think that even if all goes wrong, right? Even if let's say like his Wemby shot stops working because like it's harder now. He's getting crowded, or like like he can't really get into his moves or anything like that. I still think he's gonna stick around in the league as a rim protector because
Yeah.
that I feel like is an immediate impact as a rim protector, as a 7'5" rim protector. I feel like he'll
Hmm.
always have some sort of job in the NBA, just purely as a rim protector. Like you get paid a lot of money for being a rim protector.
Hmm.
As we know, like we have another fellow Frenchman in the league with us, Mr. Rudy
Rudy
Gobert.
Gobert,
He's getting paid a lot of money to
just to be a rim protector.
to protect the rim. I will say just to be a
Hmm.
rim protector, but to protect the rim. Let's see. I think he earns more than PG, no? Something
Yeah,
crazy like
he
that.
earns a ridiculous amount.
Yeah, yeah. So where is it at? I believe I saw it like literally. Yeah, right here. Couple of 41, 43, 46.
Wow.
Yo, Rudy, if you want to slide one my way, I won't complain. It's really not gonna hurt your pockets for real. Send me 200K. You don't even have to send me one, bro. Send me 200K, and we're just gonna we'll be good. Life changing for me. It's not really gonna hurt your pockets for real.
All right, I guess on that note, we'll wrap it up.
For sure.
Send me here. His PayPal's in the description. Send him some bones. My boy needs it.
I got you with my Cash App tag. Oh wait, Cash App don't work in this country. Come on, man.
All right,
guys. So that's the segment for now. We'll be right back with another one.